I'm Haley Taylor, and you're listening to the Rough Draft Diaries. This week on the Rough Draft Diaries, we're talking to John Adams, who, if you ask him what he does and what his job is, he'll say,
I work at the University of Toledo. I'm responsible for the dual credit and early outreach programs at the university.
But we're not going to talk about early outreach programs on the Rough Draft Diaries, at least not today. Today we're going to talk about photography. You see, John is a photographer. That's how he was nominated to us. It was through Ayan Naeem, who's a blues artist, and John took his photograph.
I think, as I mentioned before, I've been shooting photographs since I've been 15 years old. When I went to high school at St. Francis de Sales, I started taking pictures for the yearbook and the newspaper there. Carried it on as, just as a hobby during college, and what I'm doing now is trying to explore and discover new ways to marry the image with the words.
For 48 years, John kept his photography as a hobby. Along with his other interests, he likes to write, and he also likes to play and listen to music, particularly blues music. Sometimes he combines these hobbies together. And that's how we segue from John's photography being a hobby into it being an exhibit. You see, John often attends blues concerts, and he often takes pictures of the musicians performing. And that's where John started thinking differently about his photography.
As I would go to these different shows, I was carrying my camera with me, and I started taking photographs, and I'd post them on Facebook, and I received some pretty good feedback, which got me to thinking a little more of, I think I'd like to do a show. I've never done a show of my work before. I don't know why. I didn't think about it. I've entered some things in shows, but I've never had a show that was just all of my work. And I approached Peter Brown from Paula Brown Shop about the idea and showed him my portfolio of work that I had taken over the last couple of years. I was very, very happy with the way that worked. And I've just continued to shoot.
It's exciting to look back and see what a success this one experience was for John, opening a new exhibition. It's exciting for many reasons, but mainly because it set up a kind of theme in John's life. A theme of experiencing new adventures and pursuing old loves. You see, just about 3 years ago, John decided to pursue his master's in liberal studies at the University of Toledo. His focus is creative writing and photography. He was inspired to make this decision by a close friend of his who had also decided to return to school.
Julie was going to go back, she wanted to get a BFA in writing and then an MFA. And, since then she's written a couple books and, has been very successful. And, I like to write, but it's mostly been on the, copywriting, advertising writing side. So I thought, I think I'm going to go back and pursue a master's degree. Working at the university, obviously, it's a big help because, being an employee, our tuition's paid. But I took my first creative writing class with Joel Lippman. I went into that class knowing Joel, poet, and the poet laureate. But I didn't like poetry. I'll try to get through the poetry side, but I really was more interested in the prose and the short story and so on. Once I got into the class, Joel just turned me around completely to that. He introduced me to a beautiful art form that I never really understood that well, I guess. And so I began to pursue, I began to write more. And I've done 2 or 3, public poetry readings, and I love doing it.
John has been enjoying his courses, but that doesn't mean that the decision to go back to school was an easy one. Think about it, John works at the university, so some of his professors are actually his co-workers, and there's a large age gap between the students and John, but also with the teachers and John.
I was a little nervous because of my age. I'm 63 years old, so and I knew everyone in my class and most of the professors are younger than I am. But the thing that I found, I just found the students to be so accepting and, really supportive. And I chose to do this. It wasn't like, you're expected to go to college for 4 years and all. And I chose to do this because I think the time was right. I I believe things happen for a reason, and the people I've met have helped me to continue this. And I mean, what I would say is that you'll know when the time's right. You'll know when it feels right to do something that you either A, haven't done, or that you've been thinking about doing, for a long time, and now's that moment to take that leap of faith or whatever it may be. I don't regret a minute of it. I mean, I have learned so much. I have met so many wonderful people, and it's given me kind of a renewed sense of energy, and I'm excited about that.
I'm Haley Taylor, and thanks for listening to this episode of the Rough Draft Diaries.